In the vast silence of space, humanity had always whispered, hoping someone might hear. When the answer finally came, it arrived not as a greeting, but as a sentence. Lieutenant Commander Rebecca Walsh stared at the holographic display floating above her desk at the European Space Command. The message had appeared simultaneously across every major communication hub on Earth, bypassing security protocols as if they were nothing more than suggestions. The symbols shifted and reformed, translating themselves into every human language at once. "Your isolation ends today," the message read. "The Sovereign Assembly has detected your primitive broadcasts. You have been judged capable of basic cognition. Therefore, you are summoned to the proving grounds. Bring your greatest armada. Display your power. Earn your place among the starborn, or accept extermination with dignity." Rebecca's hands trembled as she forwarded the transmission to her superior officer. Within the hour, she found herself in a converted bunker beneath Geneva. Surrounded by military leaders and scientists from every corner of the globe, Dr. Hassan Okongo, a Nigerian astrophysicist who had spent his career searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, stood at the front of the room. His usually warm expression had turned grave. "They've included technical specifications," he explained, projecting complex mathematical formulas across the wall. "Instructions for constructing faster-than-light engines. They're giving us the means to reach our own execution." "How generous," muttered General Yuki Tanaka from her seat. The Japanese defense minister had seen enough warfare to recognize a trap when she encountered one. "They hand us the gun and tell us to shoot ourselves." "Not quite," Hassan corrected. "They're giving us a chance." According to the historical data embedded in the transmission, every spacefaring species undergoes this trial. Those who demonstrate sufficient strength are welcomed into the assembly. The rest are eliminated to prevent future conflicts. Colonel Dmitry Volkov leaned forward, his scarred face catching the light. The Russian officer had survived 3 tours in conflict zones and carried himself with the weariness of someone who had seen too much death. What constitutes sufficient strength? Hassan pulled up images from the alien database. Massive fleets filled the screens, thousands of warships arranged in perfect geometric formations. Every species brings their most powerful naval force. The Krell Dominion brought 800 ships. The Quillian Hives brought 1,500. The current record holders, the Vakron Imperium, arrived with 4,000 ships and won their trial 3 centuries ago. The room fell into stunned silence. Rebecca felt her stomach drop. 4,000 ships. Humanity had barely managed to establish a research station on Mars. Their most advanced spacecraft could reach the outer planets in years, not days. Building even 100 interstellar warships seemed impossible. "We have 6 months," Hassan continued. 6 months to build a fleet, master technology we discovered this morning, and travel 300 light years to prove we deserve to exist. Over the following weeks, Rebecca watched the world transform. Every nation poured resources into a unified effort that made the old space race look like a casual hobby. Factories were retooled overnight. Scientists abandoned their research to work on projects they barely understood. The alien technology was simultaneously brilliant and incomprehensible. Like reading instructions written by something that thought in dimensions humans couldn't perceive, Rebecca was assigned to the fleet coordination team, helping organize Earth's desperate military response. She worked 18-hour days, sleeping in her office, living on coffee and determination. Around her, the finest minds in the world struggled with an impossible equation. "We can build maybe 30 ships," reported engineer Priya Chaudhary during one of their daily briefings. The Indian aerospace designer looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. 40 if we cut every safety margin and pray nothing breaks. The designs are crude compared to what the aliens showed us, but they should survive faster than light travel. Probably. 40 ships against 4,000, Dmitri said flatly. We'll look like insects challenging a hurricane. Rebecca studied the projections. 40 ships, each one a miracle of engineering completed in months rather than decades. 40 ships crewed by volunteers who knew they were flying toward almost certain death. 40 ships to represent the entire human species. That night, Rebecca couldn't sleep. She stood on the observation deck of the construction facility, watching welders work on the hull of the UES Perseverance. The ship was ugly by any aesthetic standard, a blocky collection of mismatched components held together by hope and mathematics. But it would fly. They would all fly. Beautiful, isn't it? Rebecca turned to find Dr. Amara Johnson standing beside her. The American physicist had been instrumental in cracking the faster-than-light equations, though she freely admitted she didn't fully understand how they worked. It looks like a flying junkyard, Rebecca replied honestly. Amara smiled. Yes, but it's our flying junkyard, built with our hands, our science, our stubbornness. She paused, her expression growing serious. I've been thinking about this trial, about what it means, whether we live or die, whether we're asking the right question. Amara pulled up a tablet, showing Rebecca the alien transmissions. Every species brings massive fleets, because that's what the assembly expects. That's what proves strength in their eyes. Numbers, raw power, overwhelming force. And we don't have those things, Rebecca finished. No, we don't. But we have something else. We're the species that looked at the sky with nothing but our eyes and figured out the universe was expanding. We're the species that went from flying in wood and fabric to landing on the moon in 60 years. We don't win by being stronger. We win by being smarter. Rebecca felt something shift in her thinking. What are you suggesting? Amara's eyes gleamed with an idea that was either brilliant or insane. What if we don't try to match them? What if we do something no one has ever done before? What if we send one ship? One ship? Amara, that's suicide. Maybe. Or maybe it's the most human thing we could possibly do. Amara pulled up schematics, her fingers dancing across the screen. Take all the resources we'd spread across 40 ships. All the technology, all the innovation, all the brilliant minds we've assembled. Pour everything into one vessel. Make it special. Make it unprecedented. Show them that humanity doesn't need 1,000 ships, because one human ship is worth 1,000 of theirs. Rebecca stared at her friend, seeing the mad logic in her eyes. It was crazy. It was reckless. It was exactly the kind of desperate gamble that had defined human achievement throughout history. They'll destroy us, Rebecca whispered. Probably, Amara agreed. But they might hesitate first. They might wonder what we know that they don't. And in that hesitation, we might find our chance. The proposal reached the Global Council within days. The debate that followed was fierce and desperate. The council chamber erupted in arguments that stretched across time zones and ideologies. General Tanaka called the plan reckless beyond measure. Colonel Volkov accused Amara of abandoning military doctrine for fantasy. Hassan stood at the podium, defending the mathematics while admitting the strategy defied every conventional approach to warfare. Rebecca found herself drafted into the presentation team, explaining tactical applications to leaders who looked at her with expressions ranging from desperate hope to undisguised horror. 3 days of debate yielded no consensus until Dr. Kenji Watanabe, an elderly Japanese engineer who had survived Hiroshima as a child, rose to speak. I have seen what happens when we match force with force, he said quietly, his voice carrying despite its softness. I have seen cities burn because both sides believe strength meant building bigger weapons. Perhaps true strength is knowing when to choose a different path. The vote passed by a margin of 7 votes. Humanity would send one ship, Construction on the used Defiant began immediately, and Rebecca watched the project consume resources at a staggering rate. Every advanced material Earth could produce went into the hull. Every breakthrough in energy systems, computing, weapons technology, and propulsion got integrated into the design. The ship grew in the orbital construction facility, not large, but dense with capability. Each system interconnected in ways that would seem chaotic to outside observers, but made perfect sense to the teams building it. Priya Shudari became the chief engineer, her exhaustion transforming into fierce determination. "This ship doesn't just need to fly," she explained during one of their technical reviews. "It needs to think, adapt, surprise. We're building something alive." The Defiant was smaller than most alien fighter craft, barely 200 meters long. Its hull was a strange amalgamation of carbon composites, metallic alloys, and experimental materials that existed nowhere else in the universe. To alien eyes, it would look primitive, cobbled together from scrap. They wouldn't see the quantum processors running predictive combat algorithms. They wouldn't detect the modular weapon systems that could reconfigure mid-battle. They wouldn't understand that every apparent weakness was a deliberate choice. Rebecca received her assignment 5 months into construction. She would command the mission. The announcement came through official channels, but Amara delivered it in person, finding Rebecca in the observation deck where she spent most of her rare free moments. "You're joking," Rebecca said flatly. "I've never commanded anything larger than a research team." "Exactly," Amara replied. "We don't need a traditional military commander. We need someone who can think beyond doctrine, who understands both the science and the stakes. Someone the crew will follow into the unknown." "Someone expendable, you mean?" Amara's expression softened. "Someone brave enough to do what no one else will." Crew selection took another month. They needed specialists who could handle multiple roles, individuals comfortable with uncertainty, people who understood they were volunteering for a mission that would likely end in death. Rebecca interviewed hundreds of candidates and chose 11. Lieutenant Commander Felix Okafor from Nigeria, tactical officer and former championship chess player who thought in probabilities and patterns; Dr. Lin Zhao from China, physicist and systems specialist who had helped decode the alien faster-than-light mathematics; Captain Ravi Sharma from India, pilot with reflexes that bordered on precognitive and a calm demeanor that never cracked under pressure; engineer Mika Korhonen from Finland, who could repair anything with minimal tools and maximum creativity. The list continued. Each person brought unique expertise, but more importantly, each brought adaptability. They weren't the strongest or most decorated. They were the ones most likely to survive the impossible by finding solutions no one had considered. Training consumed the final months. The crew lived aboard the Defiant, learning its systems until they could operate the ship in their sleep. Rebecca drilled them relentlessly, running simulation after simulation. Most scenarios ended with their destruction. Some ended with outcomes so catastrophic the computers refused to calculate final casualty numbers. "We're going to die, aren't we?" Lin asked one evening, her usual analytical composure cracking slightly. Rebecca considered lying, then decided her crew deserved honesty. "Probably. The odds are approximately 4,000 to 1 against us, assuming the other species bring forces comparable to historical averages. Our survival depends on factors we can't predict and strategies we haven't invented yet. So why are we doing this?" Felix looked up from his chessboard, where he'd been playing against the ship's computer and losing deliberately to test its tactical adaptation. "Because someone has to," Rebecca answered. "Because humanity deserves a chance, even if it's a small one. Because maybe, just maybe, we'll surprise them." Ravi smiled from his position at the pilot station. "I've always enjoyed surprising people." Launch day arrived with less ceremony than Rebecca expected. No crowds, no speeches, no dramatic countdowns. The crew boarded through a simple airlock, carrying personal items limited to 5 kilograms each. Rebecca brought a photograph of her daughter, whom she'd barely seen during the past 6 months. The image showed a girl of 8, gap-toothed smile, bright with innocence. Unaware that her mother was leaving on a journey from which return was unlikely, Defiant detached from the construction facility with minimal fanfare. Earth fell away behind them, a blue marble growing smaller against the infinite black. Rebecca stood on the bridge, her crew at their stations, and felt the weight of 7 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. All systems nominal, Priya reported from engineering. Faster than light drive is charging. We'll be ready to jump in 90 seconds. Rebecca opened a communication channel to Earth, knowing this might be humanity's last message to itself. This is Commander Rebecca Walsh of the United Earthship Defiant. We are departing for the proving grounds. Whatever happens there, know that we carry with us the best of what humanity can be. Our curiosity, our resilience, our refusal to accept that might makes right. If we don't return, don't mourn us. Instead, remember that we tried something impossible because the alternative was giving up without a fight. She closed the channel before anyone could respond. Sentiment would make the next part harder. Ravi, take us out. Felix, monitor all sensor bands. Lynn, I want continuous system diagnostics. Everyone else, stations. Let's go show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humans. The Defiant jumped to faster than light speed, and the universe twisted around them in ways physics insisted were impossible. Rebecca watched the stars stretch and bend through the viewport, feeling her stomach rebel against acceleration that shouldn't exist. The crossing would take 4 months. 4 months to prepare for a trial that would likely last only minutes. But in those minutes, Rebecca intended to make the galaxy remember humanity forever. The proving grounds materialized around them like a graveyard of gods. 3 dead stars hung in the void, their cold cores radiating only darkness. Between them drifted asteroids the size of moons, debris from whatever cataclysm had killed this system long before humans learned to walk upright. And everywhere, scattered across millions of cubic kilometers, were ships. Rebecca had prepared herself for the sight, studied the projections and historical records until she could recite fleet compositions from memory. Nothing compared to the reality. The Vakron Imperium had arrived with their crystalline dreadnoughts, each one a geometric fortress, bristling with weapons that bent light itself. The Krell Dominion brought organic vessels that pulsed with bioluminescence, living ships grown rather than built. The Zephian Collective deployed swarms of smaller craft that moved in perfect synchronization. A single mind distributed across 10,000 bodies. Captain, I'm counting over 12,000 ships, Felix reported, his voice steady despite the numbers. That's triple the historical average. They've increased the difficulty. Lynn's console lit up with warnings. Multiple targeting locks. We're being scanned by at least 200 different sensor types. Some of them are using principles I don't even recognize. Through the viewport, Rebecca watched a massive vessel detach from the Vakron formation. It dwarfed the Defiant like an ocean liner beside a rowboat, its hull carved from what appeared to be a single enormous crystal that refracted starlight into weapon fire. A communication channel opened without Rebecca requesting it, and a voice filled the bridge. Humans. The word dripped with contempt. The Assembly has reviewed your response to the summons. You were instructed to bring your mightiest fleet. You bring 1 vessel. Explain this insult before we vaporize you for wasting our time. Rebecca took a breath, feeling her crew's eyes on her. This moment would define everything that followed. Show weakness now, and they'd be destroyed before the trial began. Show arrogance, and the same fate awaited them. She needed to find the narrow path between. I am Commander Rebecca Walsh of the United Earthship Defiant. We received your instructions and considered them carefully. Then we chose to do something different. We don't believe strength is measured by how many ships you can build. We believe it's measured by what one ship can accomplish when it carries the best of what we are." Silence stretched across the void. Then laughter erupted from multiple channels, dozens of alien species finding humanity's response hilarious. The Vakran commander's voice cut through the mockery. "One ship. You send one primitive vessel to face the assembled might of 12,000 warships representing 53 species. And you call this strength? You are either supremely arrogant or catastrophically stupid. Perhaps both." "Perhaps," Rebecca agreed. "Or perhaps we understand something you've forgotten. That innovation matters more than imitation. That quality can surpass quantity. That the species who survive aren't always the strongest, but the ones most capable of adaptation." Another voice joined the conversation, this one deeper and resonating with harmonics that suggested multiple vocal chords. "I am Krodok, War Master of the Krell Dominion. I find your words interesting, human. But words mean nothing here. The trial will reveal whether your ship matches your boldness. Assemble with the other newcomers. The testing begins shortly." The communication channels closed. Ravi guided the Defiant toward the designated coordinates, threading between massive warships that could have obliterated them with a stray weapons test. Rebecca felt the weight of thousands of alien eyes watching, judging, dismissing them as an amusing footnote before the real competition began. The trial's first phase commenced without warning. Massive drones materialized throughout the system, each one the size of a small station and radiating energy signatures that made the Defiant sensors scream warnings. A booming voice announced the rules in a language that Rebecca's translator struggled to parse. Phase 1. Combat Efficacy. Destroy the target drones. You have one standard cycle. Failure means elimination. The alien fleets moved with practiced efficiency. Thousands of ships coordinated their fire, reducing drones to expanding clouds of debris within seconds. The Vakran used focused energy beams that carved through hulls like butter. The Krell deployed biological weapons that consumed the drones from within. The Zephian swarms attacked like piranhas, each small ship taking tiny bites until nothing remained. "Recommendations?" Rebecca asked her crew. Felix studied the tactical display. "Conventional approach says we match their strategy. Pick targets, eliminate them efficiently, demonstrate we can fight." "But we're not conventional," Mika observed from her engineering station. "And if we just copy what they're doing, we're admitting their way is better." Lynn's fingers danced across her console. "I'm detecting patterns in the drone energy signatures. They're not actually random. Each drone has a specific resonance frequency. If we could match those frequencies, we could disable them without destroying them," Rebecca finished. "Felix, can we target their control systems?" "Maybe. The ship's adaptive targeting was designed for exactly this kind of problem. But it's untested in actual combat." Rebecca smiled. "Then let's test it. Lynn, work with Felix. I want those drones neutralized, not obliterated. Ravi, position us away from the main fleets. I don't want them seeing exactly what we're doing until it's done." The Defiant moved into a sparse region of space, while the alien fleets continued their systematic destruction. Rebecca watched other newcomer species struggle with the trial. A species calling themselves the Thorians brought 60 ships and fought with desperate ferocity, their weapons primitive but their courage undeniable. They managed to destroy 15 drones before half their fleet was caught in a cascade explosion from damaged targeting systems. "We've got it," Lynn announced. "Each drone has a unique shutdown frequency. I'm uploading the codes to tactical now." Felix integrated the data, his hands moving with the precision that made him a chess champion. Targeting solutions ready. This is going to look strange to outside observers. Good, Rebecca said. Strange means they'll remember us. Fire when ready. The Defiant didn't unleash devastating weapons or overwhelming firepower. Instead, it moved through the battlefield like a surgeon, sending precisely calibrated energy pulses at each drone it encountered. One by one, a massive construct simply stopped functioning. Their systems shut down by signals that bypassed their defenses entirely. Within 20 minutes, the Defiant had neutralized 40 drones without firing a single destructive shot. The alien fleets noticed. Combat slowed as species stopped to observe this unusual approach. The communication channels filled with confused chatter. Targets must be destroyed, the trial administrator announced. Disabled targets do not count toward completion. Rebecca opened a channel. The instructions said eliminate the targets. We've eliminated them as threats. They're no longer functional. The fact that they're not scattered debris seems like an advantage, not a failure. Silence followed her statement. Then Kravik's voice returned, carrying what might have been amusement. An interesting interpretation, human. The trial administrators will review your method. Continue. The Defiant continued its work, and slowly, gradually, something shifted in how the other species watched them. The mockery faded, replaced by curiosity, then respect, then something that looked almost like fear. This one small ship was accomplishing what their massive fleets achieved through brute force, but doing it with elegance and precision that suggested deeper understanding.